Good afternoon. I want to welcome everyone to the regular meeting, August 24th, 2026, Local Agency Formation Commission of Monterey County. And if I could have roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Bickle? Here. Commissioner Daniels? Here. Commissioner Donahue? I am here. Commissioner Kong?
I am here.
Commissioner Lindley?
Here.
Commissioner Lopez? Commissioner Oglesby?
Here.
Commissioner Root Askew? Commissioner Velasquez?
She will be about 15 minutes late.
Vice Chair Gorley? And Chair Leffel.
Thank you.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to open this up for general public comments. Those are items, you can comment on items that are not on the agenda. You'll have a chance to comment later on each agenda item. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on anything that is not on today's agenda? Okay, I see none. Is there anyone on Zoom?
Chair Leffel, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, I'm going to close general public comment. We have a consent agenda that has 4 items on it. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on any of those items? Okay, I see none.
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right. Any of my fellow commissioners like to comment on any of the items? Pull any item?
I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Call, please.
Okay. Commissioner Daniels?
Aye.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindley?
Aye.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Root Askew? Vice Chair Gorley?
Aye.
Chair Leffel.
Yes, thank you.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're going to move right along to old business, and the first item there is item 5, the status report on compliance with state legal requirements by special districts. And who's taking that one?
I'll start it off. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, item 5 is our continuing update regarding compliance with state legal requirements by special districts under LAFCO's jurisdiction. And as the commission will recall, we initially focused on corrective measures identified through recent municipal service reviews for 8 districts. As requested by the commission at our last meeting, we have now expanded that effort to look more broadly at compliance among all our special districts, not only the annual financial audits, but also other basic statutory requirements. We created a new tracking system that allows us to better visualize and manage compliance across districts. I'm always in the camp of you can't manage what you don't measure. Rather than looking at each district individually and in isolation, this gives us a broader picture of where compliance issues are, where progress is being made, and where we may see common challenges or reoccurring themes, and help us identify possible solutions. So the intent remains to emphasize assistance, training, and voluntary compliance first, while also keeping the commission informed about other tools available if compliance problems persist. So with that, I'll turn this item over to Jonathan to walk us through the current status and next steps.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I just wanted to add to the presentation that the survey we're looking at, we're still watching those 8 special districts identified in the MSRs, and then that is the status is provided in attachment 1 to the staff report. Attachment 2 is the broader spreadsheet, which Executive Officer Osaki identified. We're tracking 41 independent special districts and 5 dependent districts there that are not governed by the County Board of Supervisors. Of those districts, just looking at audit compliance, we identified 17 that do not have identified that they do not have current audits as of a year. So the state law provides that districts are to complete audits within 12 months of the end of a fiscal year. So we have 17 of those districts that are out of compliance. Of those 17 districts, 16 have said that they are in the process of hiring an auditor and completing those audits. And then there's additional 6 districts that have not responded to our survey. So it could be a total of 23 districts that are out of compliance with audits. We continue to meet with the County Auditor Controller's Office. And so our main options we are looking at are to offer trainings to address these issues, but also start to work with agencies that can enforce compliance. So the County Auditor Controller is one of those agencies that can enforce compliance on audits. In our meetings with them, they identified that LAFCO staff should continue to dig down a little deeper on each of those special districts that is out of compliance with audits to distinguish if they are under contract with an auditor to complete audits, and if so, what is the schedule for completion of the audit for these districts. And then also to assess the district's current status, their ability to be audited. So to ask for trial balances from the districts, that's an indication of whether they are prepared to be audited. So in terms of those next steps, we realize that not every district may have their books in compliance, have their books ready to be audited. And then how to address that. So we're talking with the Auditor Controller how to proceed. So once we have this additional information, meet with the Auditor Controller, we'll have a better sense of how they might structure their RFP or the solicitations to obtain audit firms to complete the audits, if that needs to be supplemented or not by additional bookkeeper or firms that can get districts in order to be books compliant to be audited for these special districts. So that's the current status of those 2 parts. And then the Commission asked at the previous meeting that staff return with information on what the Commission can do in terms of considering potential actions by the Commission to address compliance. That might include dissolution or consolidation. And staff attached a PowerPoint presentation, which we're prepared to give today to the Commission about what the Commission's authority is in initiating dissolutions and consolidations. So I did a screen share of the PowerPoint presentation. I'll be brief, just to run through what the Commission's authority is on moving through a process of the Commission initiating a dissolution or consolidation or a merger. So in terms of the authority, so the starting point is in our State Government Code section 56375. In this, the legislature gives LAFCO the authority to initiate certain changes involving special districts.
Jonathan, are you trying to do a screen share?
Yes.
It's not working.
Okay. I'm sharing on my end. There, it should be up.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, so for purposes of today's discussion, we're focusing on 3 components of changes in organization: dissolutions, consolidations, and mergers. So dissolutions under LAFCO law essentially bring to an end a special district, but those assets and liabilities are transferred to a city, a county, or a special district as part of that process. Consolidations take District A and District B and dissolve them, and their assets and liabilities all move, and services move to a new form district, District C. And for mergers, you can take District A and District B, and District A becomes the remaining district, District B is dissolved, and this can occur with multiple districts, not just 2 districts. So this is important to note, these actions that the Commission could take, because LAFCO does not have to wait for the affected district to come forward with a proposal. The commission can independently determine that a change may be appropriate and initiate the process. I want to emphasize that initiating a proposal is not the same thing as ordering the change. There are several steps between the 2 points. So in this process, there is a study, a commission decision to initiate, additional analysis, a subsequent LAFCO decision, and then the conducting authority and protest process. So before LAFCO can decide whether the change should proceed, the process generally starts with information gathering and analysis. And I've broken this into 6 or 7 steps. 7 steps are in the presentation, but step 7 is optional based on the protest proceedings. So step 1 is initiating the study. So with this first step, the commission or executive officer can initiate a special study or sphere of influence study. The purpose is to develop the factual basis for determining whether a change of organization or reorganization is warranted. This is an important protection in the process. LAFCO isn't simply deciding without analysis that a district should disappear or be combined with another district. The study can identify problems with services, governance, finances, or other factors relevant to the commission's determination. If multiple districts are involved, the commission may appoint a reorganization committee. So if the study supports moving forward, the commission then has to make a formal decision to initiate the proposal. So step 2 is LAFCO formally initiates the proposal. So the next step is the commission meeting and hearing. The commission considers the study and determines whether a change of organization or reorganization is warranted. If the commission agrees, it adopts a resolution initiating the change. That resolution is an important milestone because we're moving from an investigative or study phase into a formal proceeding. Again, the resolution does not itself dissolve the district, consolidate districts, or complete the merger. We should think of it as LAFCO saying we have enough information to formally pursue this proposal under Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act. That distinction becomes especially important when we talk about the affected district's role. The district's disagreement does not necessarily end the proceeding. So once LAFCO has initiated the proposal, the affected agency gets an opportunity to respond. So the opportunity for the district to act, this is one of the more nuanced parts of the process. The affected district or districts have 60 days to adopt a proposal that is substantially similar to the commission's resolution. If the district or districts do that, the district's proposal is processed and the LAFCO proposal is terminated. That's different from the district simply saying we don't like this proposal. An objection is not the same thing as adopting a substantially similar proposal. So if the district simply adopts a resolution opposing dissolution, that does not by itself stop the LAFCO proceeding. If the district takes no action in the 60-day period, the LAFCO proceeding continues. So step 4 is the LAFCO decision on the proposed change. So the executive officer's report and recommendation come back to the commission. The commission then has another opportunity to consider whether the proposal should proceed. This is the second major commission decision point. The commission can disapprove the proposal, in which case the proceedings terminate. If the commission approves the proposal, it moves forward to the conducting authority phase. So there are really 2 different commission decisions we should keep separate. First is initiating the proceeding, and second is approving the proposal after the additional analysis. So that distinction is important when explaining LAFCO's role. LAFCO initiates and approves the proposal, but ultimately completion of the change involves additional statutory procedures. So after LAFCO approves the proposal, we move from the commission's decision-making process into the conducting authority and protest process. So step 5 is the conducting authority hearing process. So in this step of the process is called the conducting authority. This is a hearing held in the affected territory, so within the district's boundaries. This is an important procedural safeguard because it gives affected residents and landowners an opportunity to express their support or opposition through the statutory protest process. The amount of protest matters. So under this process, less than 10% protest results by voters or landowners results in an order of the change. If there is a 10% or more protest, an election is ordered, and if there's 50% more protest, then the proceedings terminate. So LAFCO approval doesn't mean the proposal is automatically completed. The statutory protest process can still affect the outcome. If the protest level requires an election, the voters then have the final say under the process. So that's step 7. If required, there's an election for the final outcome. So if the statutory protest thresholds require an election, the proposal goes to the voters. A majority vote in favor allows the conducting authority to order the change. If the proposal receives less than a majority, the proceedings terminate. So the overall process has multiple points at which a proposal can end. It can end because the study doesn't support the change. It can end because the commission decides the change isn't warranted. It can end because of the protest process. And if an election is required, it can end because the voters don't approve it. That's why you might characterize LAFCO's authority as the authority to initiate and process a change rather than simply the unilateral authority to dissolve or consolidate a district. The final outcome depends on the statutory process, and that follows the Commission's decisions. So in closing, a key takeaway is that LAFCO's initiation authority is relatively powerful, but is not unilateral. The Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act creates a series of analytical decision-making agency protests and when required, electoral steps between LAFCO's initial decision to pursue the change and the actual completion of a dissolution, consolidation, or merger. And just a note that this is the standard process. There's also specific parts in Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act that add additional layers to this process. So for example, section 56375.1, this is an additional layer. It's when there's a proceeding because of a specified chronic deficiency of a district. The statute provides the district an opportunity to remediate those deficiencies before LAFCO can proceed with the dissolution, but there's a trade-off, so there's a year for them to remedy their deficiencies. If they do the remedy, then the proceedings stop. But if they don't make the remedies, then the process can proceed, and those threshold requirements can be increased. So instead of a 10% threshold at the hearing for the protest proceedings, it's a 25% protest limit with that provision. So so that's the end of the presentation. Staff's available for questions.
All right. Thank you. And I want to, if the record can show that Commissioner Velasquez arrived at 3:20. Thank you. I'm going to open it up for public comment on this issue. It's a big issue. If anyone would like to comment on this, please come forward.
I have a recommendation with regards to this item. We know that these special districts are very different levels, have very different levels of financial readiness, and while the final audit requires a qualified independent auditing firm, there is work that has to happen before auditors ever get there. Rather than asking an auditing firm to inherit all the preparatory work, I would recommend considering a two-part approach with the RFP. First, include access to bookkeeping support to help districts get their financial records current, organized, and audit ready. Then bring the qualified auditing firm to perform the independent audit. That gives the districts a fighting chance and give the auditors a prepared client. It could potentially reduce costs as well. If auditors receive organized, audit ready
Thank you. Are there any comments online?
Chair, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, thank you. I'm going to bring it back to the commission for discussion. I'll open it up. Would anyone like to discuss this issue? It's a receive a report at this point.
I have two questions.
Yes.
One question is on the study that's done and then the process that's initiated. How is that funded? Who pays for that study? I'm assuming it can't be the districts themselves.
So essentially, it could be a special study or a MSR, Municipal Service Review Sphere of Influence study, one that LAFCO does is on a cycle to complete for each of the districts. So that study could have those recommendations that could enter into these types of proceedings. So as our typical work program has districts identified for MSRs this year, for example, cemetery districts are one of the priorities. That study, as an example, could have these types of recommendations for the commission to consider.
So the step one initiating the study, all of the items in here, it could be an MSR, and the MSR study could end up making a recommendation for a change, which would initiate LAFCO proceedings towards the formal initiation. So that's part of the LAFCO work plan. The next steps in the process that would, I guess, be additional work for LAFCO, how do those are funded by our LAFCO dollars? We would need to find additional revenue to fund those. Yes, okay, so correct.
And to Commissioner Askew, so that was one reason why this year we did put $25,000 in the budget, understanding that we had uncovered quite a few deficiencies and that we felt like it would give us an opportunity to work with the smaller districts in particular that are out of compliance. And a lot of them, I've attended a lot of meetings. They do not do monthly financial reports. They do not have up-to-date bookkeeping. So this goes way back to the speaker's comment of not just an audit, but finding help for them. And in their local communities, there are people who have those skills. They just have not been aware of the fact that their skills were needed. So we're working through it. Staff has been out meeting with some of them. A couple of us have been out with some of the districts that we know need the help, and we're working through that. And that's just going to be out of the LAFCO, out of the budget. But we've also worked with California Special Districts Association, and they are making their training materials free to all of our districts. So that's a plus. That was not ever before. And I said, hey, we all pay some hefty dues, the ones that are paying, so throw us a bone, because it comes back on special districts statewide also. It's a LAFCO issue, and it's a special districts issue.
Thank you. So my question was specifically around the study and the proceedings. And I do know and appreciate we all approved the $25,000 of additional funds to help do the remediation work. But my question was really specific to the additional LAFCO work product. And then a second question, so as we move forward and sort of create a framework for which districts we need to be paying more attention to, letting them know, an escalation process, what do we hope to have as our outcome in a year from now?
So as I mentioned for the introduction is when we started gathering this data and information, seeing common themes. Okay, audits. What's the challenge there? Why are we having challenge with audits? What do we need to do? What seems to be the common problem that we can help address? And then we can start setting a roadmap to help with districts with that solutioning. We're working closely with our county auditor's office, who also requires the copies of these audits as well on solutioning. So we're working in partnership with them to look at common themes and how we can address that. So what I'm hoping to do from this is after we gather all this data, is start mapping out the plan forward.
Okay, so of the 23, so a year from now, when we look at our list of 23 districts who are out of compliance, would we be saying like we're going to have them complying with their audit, or we're adding them to our next MSR study process? What are the
That's a very good
what are
question.
the
So
escalation
let's see where
steps?
that is when I start pulling that information. But out of the 23, I believe you said that there are quite a few of those that are already in the process of doing their audits. So a good chunk of that's already going to be done for hopefully this fiscal year.
Okay, so I guess my question then turns into a comment that I hope we can have a clear escalation pathway that says, okay, we've identified these are the 23 that are not in compliance. Next step is X, next step is Y, next step is Z, and then LAFCO would initiate, whatever the
Most
study
definitely,
and
100%
are.
agree. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Daniels?
Thank you, and I appreciate I've heard this item a couple times now, and I appreciate how much involvement there is not only from LAFCO staff, but commissioners trying to solve this problem. I appreciate also the walking us through LAFCO's authority and what we do have the authority to do. And I guess it's a follow-up question to what Supervisor Askew was asking. I'm just wondering at what point is a trigger pulled? At what point does LAFCO exercise our authority to initiate a process? It took me a while to sort of wrap my head around this, and I just really have some concerns about noncompliance, and it's not something that any other agency has an opportunity to either comply or not comply. It's a requirement, and I understand the challenges, but I think it's unfair to residents. It's not in anyone's best interest. So I just want to support everything I'm hearing in terms of how LAFCO and commissioners are working to address this problem. But I guess my question would just be, is there a timeline? What do we expect to get to the point where we're able to bring everyone along? What is the optimism on the horizon for that? And that would be a question to staff.
I'll start, and our executive officer can add to comments. So in terms of timeline, we've been meeting with the county auditor's controller on a monthly basis. So we expect at our next meeting to have additional information as we'll at that point have dug deeper on each of these special districts that say that they're in process of completing their audits, those that haven't responded. So we'll have a better idea of what the Auditor Controller's Office can do, and we can report that back to the Commission. In terms of timeline, it's the districts that aren't ready to be audited, that adds time. It adds time to get their books in order to be audited. It adds time with the auditor contract, so having an auditor without a specific timeline because those books aren't in order. So it adds nuances to the process of the Auditor Controller's Office hiring an auditor to do the audits. But what can be realistic? I think it's realistic to expect that we'll have an MSR in the next year on cemetery districts. And those 6 districts that didn't respond, several of those are cemetery districts. So that's an indication of if they're not responding to LAFCO staff, are they responding to the public? How are they being run as districts? So there may be recommendations out of that study with possible commission action on those districts that we've been talking about with this presentation today. In terms of other districts, we'll share what we learn as we work with the Auditor Controller's Office. I would expect that not all of these 17 districts that we've been able to communicate with that haven't completed their audits, I imagine a number of them will be able to complete those audits in this fiscal year, but there may be some that aren't. So we'll report back as we learn more.
Well, I guess I'll just end my comments by saying then thank you for describing in detail the process for initiating consolidation or dissolution, because it's just really not fair to the public that anyone operate indefinitely without meeting these basic compliance standards. And I know there are real challenges, but at a certain point, I think that we need to take action. Thank you.
I think Commissioner Velasquez is next.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I have just a follow-up comment as well in terms of some of the comments that were provided already. I think for some of the special districts and the MSR that we may potentially have to come back and reassess and do some more. For some of the special districts, I think the initial MSR was conducted, I want to say maybe 2 years ago. So with that, if it was conducted 2 years ago, we still have some of those special districts that still don't have an audit process, still haven't met some of these requirements. And I know staff has been really good about giving us these progress reports and seeing that there's items still in progress. However, I'm going to concur with some of the commissioners in terms of what is a timeline, and if we're going to go out and do another MSR, then that means we're utilizing more of our staff time to conduct an MSR that was already conducted for some of those special districts 2 years ago. And how are we moving forward to ensure that compliance is going to be met? And I appreciate the fact that the board approved the budget and the item to be able to provide the training. But for some of the special districts, I think given that it's been a 2-year process, 2 years since they were informed that compliance was not achieved currently and that they had this timeline, what additional timeline are we going to? I guess for me, my question again is, what is the trigger? What is a timeline now until they complete, for them to complete these elements? Is it the September 30th deadline that we have here, or the dates that we have here? What is that specific timeline? Thank you.
Commissioner Askew, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Just one other comment. Given on step 5 and step 6 of the process, that there is a protest vote of the residents who are represented, and then ultimately potentially an election of the community that's represented by the districts. I think that it'll be important that as LAFCO goes through these steps of, the MSR, the accountability, the escalation, that we're not doing that separate from engaging with the community, so that we don't find ourselves ultimately in a place where we've done our steps, but nobody in the community is aware that this is happening until the such time that there's a protest vote. So one additional thing that we as a LAFCO need to think about as we draft an escalation timeline and expectations is that there is community involvement of the residents served by these non-performing districts at every step of the way, so that when it gets to a protest vote, people don't show up in a room and say, we had no idea, we're going to vote this down because we didn't know that there was an issue. We're going to have to bring people along in that process. So I just want to comment and ask that that's something that gets included.
Say one thing, 2 years ago, we did not have any process in place to follow up on any of these. It was just a report from staff. We accepted it and we moved on. And a few commissioners found that to be distasteful, that there was no follow-up. It was just like every 7 years we look at you and then you go right on doing what you're going to do. So I want to really commend staff for putting together the process. And I think 2 years ago, I think there were about 15 to 20 commissioners from districts who didn't have Form 700s filed. They hadn't done Brown Act training. So it's been a painful process. It's working. It's moving forward. And I think, I know when I met with our new executive director, I told him this is the hot priority for me, is that we get this cleaned up, because it reflects on us. It reflects on all of our communities. It reflects on everybody who should be paying attention. So, and it reflects on California special districts. They collect dues, but they don't have any process either. So I think this is important. Commissioner Daniels, this is my year to be all over this, poor staff. But I've been out to some of the districts. I know that Commissioner Kong and I are visiting a couple in September, and I have one other with the fire district. So we're just going to go, we're going to keep making progress, and we'll have this every month so everybody can see where we are on it. So it's not swept behind. The other thing is we were not doing MSRs on a basis that we should have according to the rules. We were letting them go longer. So we just need to tighten it all up and perform the way LAFCO should perform so Monterey County can be proud. So anyway, that's the end of that topic. Thank you. The next issue is the public member appointment to LAFCO, and this was continued from June 22nd, 2026, the LAFCO regular meeting. And so, Mr. Wysocki.
Thank you very much, Chair. Okay, as the commission and the public will recall, this matter was continued from our June meeting when the commission directed staff to restart the recruitment process. Since then, staff conducted a new countywide recruitment and received an extensive list of applications for the public member position. I want to thank everyone who applied and expressed interest in serving LAFCO. We appreciate the time and the willingness to serve, and it's well represented by the amount of applications that we received. So with that, I'll turn this over to Jeff to review the process and introduce candidates.
Thank you. So a little additional background in addition to what the executive officer shared. We received 14 applications through this process. That included one application that was distributed via supplemental memo following distribution of the agenda packet. This was due to a technical server error that we experienced at LAFCO offices, but you should have that in front of you as a supplemental memo. In addition, one applicant, Jason Eric Tynan, withdrew his application following the distribution of the agenda packet. Some additional details. The public member seat is open to Monterey County residents with an interest in the operation and organization of local governments. Public members cannot be an officer or employee of Monterey County or any city or special district within the county. In accordance with state law and the Commission's adopted bylaws, the terms of office of the regular member seat is for 4 years, ending the first Monday of May 2030. Candidate information for the remaining 13 candidates is attached to the staff report and supplemental memo, and candidates have been invited today to introduce themselves to the Commission. In addition, following the distribution of the agenda packet, staff received public comments expressing support in favor of different applicants. The emails received were included in another supplemental memo provided to the Commission. Appointments to the public member seat requires the affirmative vote of at least one county member, one city member, and one special district member. Also, each appointment needs at least 4 votes of those commissioners qualified to vote on the matter. In accordance with the Gortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act, the current regular public member will continue to serve in their seat until an appointment is finalized and a member is sworn in by the Commission. It is recommended that the Commission consider and appoint one public member commissioner to represent the general public on LAFCO for this 4-year term, continue the item to a future date, or provide other direction. And that concludes my presentation. We're available to answer any questions, and we have a list of the remaining 13 candidates.
I'd like to add, Chair, that we expanded our outreach farther than we have before. Instead of the standard ways we've been doing outreach, many of the commissioners posted it on their social media pages. I contacted quite a few nonprofits throughout the county, all the way south and north, as many as I could, to also distribute. So as evident, that's why we got such a big pool this time. It's just we just expanded our outreach further.
Okay. Each person will be able to address the commission for 2 minutes. And who's keeping the time?
We're working with our Mag 1 Media consultants on that for a 2-minute clock.
Jeff, will you make sure the microphone is working?
Yes.
With Jonathan?
Hello?
It takes a village. All right, I'm going to go down the list that is in front of me. So the first candidate, please, is Michael Bona.
Good afternoon, Madam.
IT, can you start the timer?
I think it's this one. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair LaFell, Executive Officer Wyscott, Council, and distinguished 2026 Commissioners, all. My name is Michael Bona, and I'm here to offer my life skills and experiences to help promote solid solutions addressing the complex challenges put before LAFCO Commissioners. Born and raised in Chicago, I came to Monterey County via Fort Ord in 1986 and deployed for training and returned to Fort Ord in 1968 after my deployment in Vietnam. Monterey County has been my home for 55 plus years. I've learned to love living here and wish to invest my time as a public commissioner to do what I can to protect this special place on earth. My professional career started in construction, which I became a licensed painting contractor and was chosen to apply the moisture-cured coatings on all the metal that put the aquarium together back in the late 70s and the 80s. I traded in my paintbrush for a real estate license in 1986. I became a broker and founded Bonafide Properties, Inc. in February of 2000. My education credentials are documented by a requirement of 45 continuing education credits every 4 years, totaling 450 credits, plus several other educational programs, including Anthony Robbins Institute, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Tommy Hopkins, just to name a few, considering the credits for a BS degree. I more than qualify for BS. I thought we'd throw that in there. I'm the proud father of 3 great children, grandfather of 11, 2 great grandchildren, and 1 on the way. For the last 7 years, my wife and I have taken full-time care of my 96-year-old mother-in-law under roof. I am what you call the man in the house, not the man of the house, when you have 2 ladies of strong opinions. That's the way that lives. I'm sorry? I'm almost done. I'm a frequent golfer, a full member of the CBMA Chapter 33-4, also known as the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, a life member of the American Legion, and a member of the Stillwater Club in Pebble Beach, which are all nonprofit charitable organizations I volunteer and support. If chosen, I assure you this assignment will give me another reason to get out of the house. Thank you. Any questions? I'm here. Thank you.
Paula Chavez. Are they online?
I believe she was online earlier. I'm looking her up. Yes, I'm going to allow her to speak. So Paula, please unmute yourself. And
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Good afternoon, listeners, and thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself. I don't think I'm allowed to use camera, so I won't waste a lot of my time right now. My name is Paula Chavez, and I'm a Monterey County resident, born and raised, with a master's in public administration, specializing in public management and policy analysis, and a background in political science and community service. My professional experience has focused on housing, public programs funding, and community partnerships, giving me an understanding of how local government decisions and services directly impact residents. I'm interested in serving in LAFCO because I value effective, accountable, and collaborative local government. I believe in public member role as an important opportunity to provide an independent community voice alongside the county, cities, and special districts that provide essential services to residents. I think more than anything, I would approach the responsibility and my duty through a collaborative and transformative lens, which is effective and important when we are identifying different perspectives, opportunities for improvement, and keeping the long-term needs of the Monterey County residents at the center of decision-making. I would highly appreciate the consideration for the role and look forward to any opportunities moving forward.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Michael DeLapa.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to share why I want to serve as a public member on LAFCO and what I would bring to the Commission. For more than 30 years, I've worked to advance sound land use, environmental stewardship, equity, and sustainability across Monterey County, encouraging orderly development, promoting affordable housing, preserving agricultural lands, and discouraging sprawl. This has never been just a profession for me. It reflects deep-held values about the public good, and it's why I've spent the past decade leading a nonprofit rather than pursuing more lucrative work. I also think this is a moment when LAFCO benefits from some new blood. This commission quietly makes some of the most consequential decisions in our county, where cities can grow, how farmland is protected or not, who gets water and infrastructure. It works best with current, wide-ranging perspectives, not the same set of voices renewing their seats term after term. I bring genuinely fresh eyes, recent active experience in land use, and real enthusiasm to engage where the county is today. I also want to be candid about something that matters for the Commission's credibility. Some of LAFCO members have built their careers in construction and sprawl development, the same industries whose projects depend on how LAFCO rules on annexation, mitigation, and infrastructure. That overlap at times shaped votes in ways that later drew scrutiny, including from the courts. I don't think that reflects bad faith as much as the pull of long tenure and personal stake, but it's exactly why the public member seat exists, to guarantee at least one vote with no client or company riding on the vote. I can offer that independence. Thank you for the opportunity to present my qualifications.
Thank you. Matt Gorley? I think you need to go down there, Matt.
What? Sure. Chair, LAFCO Commission, Matt Gorley, a little over 20 years on our LAFCO board, 3 terms on our Cal LAFCO board, served at the state level. Back in the early days of LAFCO, we had Carmel Valley come before us and want to become a city. We had the fight between the Carmel Valley volunteers and the fire districts come before LAFCO, so plenty of experience. We had the Millsmeyer annexation down in King City, and these are just some of the things that I feel that I've done some great things on LAFCO, along with a lot of you. We looked at the Valley cities back when Lou Calcagno was with us, and we decided these cities were going to grow towards non-productive ag land. So we drew those lines, and we put barriers in the cities to grow only one direction, and that was to the east, to the non-productive ag lands, similar to what Gonzales has got proposed and Soledad's got before us. So I think with my experience being born and raised, my wife and I have a small business that we have established here in the Valley, and we've continued to be successful. And I'd love to be a part of LAFCO and working on this team. Ag land mitigation is one of the things I'd say we hung our hat on as a commission as a whole to get that through, to bring all of the partners forward, all of the city staffs, planning commissioners, everybody to us, landowners, and we came up with a policy. And we're going to ride on that policy for all annexations moving forward in this valley. So I'm stand here as a proud representative of LAFCO for several years and moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Huerta?
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for considering my application to serve as the public representative for this important commission. I have been actively involved in many land use decisions over the past 21 years in Monterey County in several capacities, including as a nonprofit housing developer, Salinas Planning Commissioner, advisor to the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership, and as a resident leader. I graduated from UC Davis with a bachelor's in community and regional development with an emphasis in urban planning. As a long-time Salinas resident, I was appointed to the Planning Commission by Mayor Ana Caballero, and then reappointed by the late Mayor Joe Gunter, and then also served with our friend Mr. Mayor Dennis Donahue, Phase 1. And during the 3 terms and as chair, we shaped the future growth areas of the city of Salinas. In one capacity or another, I've worked with many of you or worked on projects that have been reviewed by you. So you can trust that I am able to get up to speed quickly, and if I'm selected to join this commission, I also have relationships with many city and county staff members from experience as an advisor to MBEP, so I'm confident that I will be able to make a positive contribution as a public representative. I understand and share in LAFCO's unique mission to encourage the orderly formation of local government agencies, preserve agricultural land resources, discourage urban sprawl, and support the efficient delivery of local government services, stewardship of our precious land, and facilitating orderly growth impacts our shared social and economic viability and our collective quality of life. It's what makes Monterey County so special. My approach to serving on this commission would be to balance the interests of all parties in order to make the best decisions possible in alignment with our mission and our shared future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Carla Lobo?
Is this one?
It's that one, yes.
That's what it's supposed to sound like. Awesome. Okay. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. My qualifications and experience are detailed in the application before you, so rather than repeat them, I want to focus on something I've thought a great deal about. What should the words public member actually mean? LAFCO already brings together representatives of the county, city, and special districts supported by staff, council, and substantial technical expertise. I believe the public member should complement that expertise with the independent, countywide perspective, one that can understand complex issues, ask thoughtful questions, and never lose sight of how decisions are implemented and experienced by the public. Because eventually the decisions we make in government leave the meeting room. Policy becomes infrastructure, budgets become services, boundary decisions determine who provides those services, and development decisions shape neighborhoods and resources for decades. At the last LAFCO meeting, what stayed with me was a public comment that people simply don't understand what LAFCO does. We can always do more to improve public understanding, but transparency isn't only making information available, it's also making government understandable. So I'd like to leave each of you with a question. When you cast your vote for this appointment, what do you believe the public member should bring to this commission that is not already represented here? The public, including all of us who applied, will continue to bring our expertise, concerns, disagreements, and lived experience before this commission. I believe the public member's responsibility is to listen to all those voices.
without becoming any of them, while maintaining independent judgment on behalf of Monterey County as a whole. That's the responsibility I'd be honored to take on. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Yesenia Medina?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Yesenia Medina. I am here to just enhance my, sorry, I'm never on this side of the podium. My apologies. So just as the previous speaker noted, I did write down all of my skills in the application, so I'll just tell you a little bit more about myself. I usually will sit here as a clerk of the board for my current position, which has given me the experience that I believe you are looking for in a public member from this commission. I often hear and deal with or not accommodate, I try and work with the community on all of their concerns regarding transportation. I'm very familiar with the process of being on a board because I've been the clerk of the board for about 2 decades. I completely understand the importance of transparency, understand the importance of the commission members dealing with their ethics training, making sure that they're reading their packets, and just understand what it means to be transparent to the public and ensuring that the outreach for all of the concerns and the issues that you are taking on a monthly basis are available to the public. So thank you for your consideration, and I apologize for being so nervous.
Thank you. Murtaza Mogri?
It's this one?
The other one.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Murtaza Mogri, and I'm excited to be speaking with you, honorable commissioners, as well as the public joining this meeting as an applicant for the public member position on LAFCO, a critical commission here in Monterey County. With a PhD in biomedical engineering from Stanford, I've driven complex medical devices and health IT projects to fruition. At the same time, I've had the opportunity to be deeply involved in community service and service to community, including 5 years on the Planning Commission. I'm also a dad with 2 young kids, and am now involved in not 1, but 2 parents' organizations. I'm a recent transplant here. I moved to Carmel Valley in late 2023, so I've not been here that long, but I've had the opportunity to meet many of you commissioners, as well as including Chair LAFCO, who might not remember me, but we got an opportunity to sit next to each other at the Panetta Institute Jefferson Lincoln Awards in 2024. Prior to moving to Monterey County in 2023, I spent 5 years on the Agoura Hills Planning Commission, including as chair. I was deeply involved in the city's general plan, specific plan, wildlife crossing over the 101, and of course, our RENA allocation. I love deeply listening to community members and place a great deal of effort on doing the outreach to hear a broad range of voices. I was also involved in the local chamber, who named me as one of their 40 under 40. And I also got to join the Ventura County Leadership Academy, which gave me an opportunity to learn about the various facets of county government and meet leaders in Ventura County. As I departed Agoura Hills, the city council members honored me, with one noting my involvement in so many levels of the community was a, quote, testament to my heart of service. Another council member noted that I shepherded the commission through complicated and controversial matters, always with an eye toward fairness and a sense of open-mindedness. I'm an Eagle Scout, so I expressed my dedication to service in my youth, and I would be excited to continue that service on this commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Franco Pacheco? Is he online, Jonathan?
Yes, Mr. Pacheco's online. I'm going to allow you to talk and ask that you unmute yourself. If you could please unmute and then provide us your 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm sorry it's digitally. I couldn't get off work in time to get to Salinas. And it's our first week back in school. My name is Franco Pacheco. I grew up in Seaside and returned to the area about 7 years ago. I've worked in Monterey Peninsula for most of my time, and public service has been a major part of my life. I'm an Army veteran. I work in education, and I've served 3 years on Seaside's Park and Recs Commission. I've also spent a lot of time over the years following local government in the 9 different cities that I've lived in, and trying to understand how decisions are made in rooms like this one, and how they affect people who live in the places like Monterey County. That's really what interests me about LAFCO. Questions about growth, housing, agricultural land, water, special districts, and public service can get complicated very quickly. They also affect a lot of communities differently. I don't think the role of the public member is to come to those conversations already representing one particular side. I think the public member should listen carefully, ask good questions, read materials, and understand staff analysis and the law, and then make an independent decision based on what serves the public and the long-term interest of Monterey County. I have a bring curiosity, a scientific mind, preparation, and a willingness to learn. I'm comfortable asking questions when I don't know something, and sometimes that's a lot of things. And I'm equally comfortable making a decision once I have information in front of me. Most importantly, I care deeply about the county and the future of my 2 small children who will grow up here, and about the responsibility of public service. I'd be honored to bring that perspective to LAFCO, and I really appreciate your consideration, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Vita Quintanilla.
Chair, we do have one phone number online. I could unmute to find out if this person is one of the speakers. Okay, phone number ending in number 041. If I'm allowing you to speak, could you please identify if you're one of the speakers today for the public member applicants? You're currently muted. If you could unmute and let us know. Okay, Chair, we're not getting a response, but there's no one else listed online that I'm seeing as one of the public member applicants.
Thank you. Belinda Taliban.
Good afternoon. My name is Belinda Taliban.
Sorry that I mispronounced the name.
It happens all the time. I was born and raised on a cattle ranch and farm. We grew, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. We grew all the crops required to support the beef cattle. From this experience, being a good steward to the land and the environment that we rely on for our life has always been a priority. I've worked for several years for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, where I worked in design teams to address flood improvement projects located in the cities of Reno, Fairfield, and more closely related to Gilroy. I relocated to Salinas in 1986 and began working with Monterey County as a plan review engineer. When I had my children, I had left Monterey County and began my own company, Toluban Engineering. I have worked with most jurisdictions within and around and including Monterey County. My work experience includes subdivisions, commercial, industrial, land use, water, pretty much anything associated with developments and watching, basically the growth in this area. In 24, Dick Dante of Soil Surveys wanted to retire. He came to me and begged me to take over the company because he had a hard time recruiting an engineer to take over his company, and he didn't want to leave his long-term employees alone. I agreed. Challenging to work 2 companies, but just a few years ago, I was able to relinquish that company to another engineer for securing. I am currently working as under Toluban Engineering while volunteering on the Monterey County Historic Resources Review Board and the North Monterey County Land Use Advisory Committee. I am interested in working with this board to promote well-managed and thoughtful growth and development. My life and work experience will be a benefit to you, I hope, on the board. We live in a stunning, beautiful area, and we need to protect agricultural fields as it does feed the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alejandra Salgado.
Chair, I misspoke earlier. There are 2 iPhones. We could ask if they are one of the speakers today. Okay, iPhone 424, I'm going to allow you to talk. If you could please identify if you are one of the speakers today for the public member applicants. Okay, one more time, iPhone 424, if you could please unmute and let us know if you are one of the public member applicants. Okay, and then there's one more, iPhone 17. I'm going to allow you to talk. If you could please unmute and let us know if you are one of the public member applicants.
I'm one of the public commenters in support of one of the applicants. So speak after.
Okay.
Where is it now?
After.
Okay, and we do have a hand raised, but I think that's for public comment. We have Megan Hunter's hand raised.
All right. Ramon Cancino. Did I say it correctly?
Close, very close. Ray Cancino. Or Raymond. Good afternoon, Commissioners, and thank you for your consideration. I'm asking for your appointment because I believe I would bring something important to the Commission. A North Monterey County perspective, a regional perspective, and a perspective that is not currently well represented at this table. My public service already crosses county lines. I serve as the chair of the Measure N Oversight Committee for Watsonville Community Hospital, an institution that serves families throughout the Pajaro Valley and North Monterey County. My work involvement also includes the Pajaro Unified School District, similarly connects to communities whose lives do not stop at the jurisdictional boundaries we all live in. Neither does my family. I'm raising 2 young boys in North Monterey County. My sister and brother-in-law are raising my niece in Marina, and she attends school here in Monterey. These decisions that you make here at LAFCO shape the communities we live in. They shape the families, the learnings, the work, and how we will all grow up. And representation does matter. 63% of Monterey County is Latino. I believe bringing greater diversity of background, experience, geography, and thought to LAFCO would bring and strengthen this commission. Professionally, I lead a regional organization serving Monterey, Santa Cruz, and San Benito counties. My education, executive leadership, years of statewide advocacy have taught me how to work through complicated public policy questions, understand government systems, build coalitions, advocate effectively with local and state leaders. And I perhaps most importantly want you to know how I will serve. I will listen thoughtfully to every perspective and vote with my convictions. I may not always agree with you, but I will respect your position, explain mine, and bring data and evidence to the discussion. And when I find myself in the minority, I will not simply ask you to agree with me. I will ask you to consider the concerns I raise and help me mitigate the consequences for communities or residents who may not benefit from a decision or who may bear the greatest impacts. This is who I am.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to call the 2 names one more time. Alejandra Salgado. And Vida Quintanilla. Okay, I'm going to close the presentations from the applicants. I'm going to open it up for public comment. If anyone has a comment on this, if they can come forward to the microphone, please. All right, do we have some comments on Zoom?
Chair, we have Megan Hunter's hand raised on Zoom.
Right?
I'm going to allow you to talk. Please unmute. Sorry. Oops, I apologize. Megan Hunter lowered her hand. We have Esteban, whose hand is raised. I'm going to allow you to talk.
All right, everyone, could you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Esteban.
Appreciate it. Thank you. My name is Esteban Rodriguez. I am in support for Carla Lobo for the public member seat because she brings an independent community-centered perspective that would complement the expertise already represented in this commission. And what stands out to me is her genuine commitment to the people in our community. She listens to and cares about the people, is willing to put in the work, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
And Megan Hunter, I'm going to allow you to talk. Please unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thanks. It didn't pop up the unmute. Anyhow, I am really impressed with a lot of the applicants that have moved forward, but I respectfully request that the commission consider appointing a public member for South Monterey County to LAFCO. South Monterey County is home to the densest and fastest growing communities in Monterey County, and it is where many of the county's most significant future growth decisions will occur. As an example, Soledad has a density of 7,835 people per square mile, which is as dense as Oakland, California. Our communities face substantial housing needs while being surrounded by highly productive agricultural land. Decisions regarding annexations, spheres of influence, and future development require a careful balance between accommodating needed housing and economic growth and preserving the agricultural resources that are fundamental to the Salinas Valley. Having a public member who lives in or has a strong understanding of South Monterey County would bring an important perspective to these decisions. South County faces distinct challenges, including limited developable land, infrastructure constraints, housing affordability, agricultural preservation, and significant pressure to accommodate future growth. Someone who understands these competing pressures firsthand would add significant value to the commission. Geographic balance is also important. 3 of the current LAFCO commissioners representing government agencies represent the Monterey Peninsula. Appointing a public member from South Monterey County would provide greater geographic diversity and ensure that different regions of Monterey County are represented in LAFCO's decision-making. South Monterey County will continue to be at the center of important decisions regarding housing, agriculture, infrastructure, and responsible growth. For these reasons, I strongly encourage the Commission to consider this as a factor in deciding who to appoint as the next public member. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it possible for one of you to put a timer on these people? Thank you.
Chair, we have iPhone 17. I'm going to ask if you could unmute and please provide your public comment.
Hi, thank you, esteemed board. My name is Rick Diaz. I'm an elected school board trustee and vice president of the North County Rec Center Special District, speaking as an individual. I am speaking on my support for appointing Carla Lobo to the position. She brings extensive community experience and, importantly, understands that the public member should provide an independent perspective focused on Monterey County residents. I urge you to please appoint Carla Lobo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, no more hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, I'm going to bring it back to the commission for discussion and motions. Who would like to start? Commissioner Daniels.
I'll just make a comment that I had made before, so it shouldn't be new. We have a lot of applicants that have applied, and I do think it's important that advocacy organizations, no matter how valuable they are, they have institutional policy positions, and I think that I would prefer a candidate whose day job is not tied professionally to an advocacy organization, and I know there are two on applicants, and that's not to be confused with the one that I heard that I believe is a human services organization. So, but I think we know which ones I'm talking about. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion for a public member to be elected or appointed to the LAFCO 2026.
To the chair, yeah.
Yes.
So I just want to say to our LAFCO staff, thank you again for all the work that went into pushing this this notice out. I think it's telling that when we have a broader advertisement, there are a number of highly qualified individuals in the community who are interested and willing to contribute their time and expertise to the services that we have. So thank you all for applying. Thank you for making the information available so that people could apply. I speak a little bit to the the reality that we're like navigating here, and I think we have a member who's in our midst who's been with us for many years, who has contributed a significant amount to LAFCO. And I just want to again acknowledge and say thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
None of this discussion today, I hope it doesn't come across as personal to anyone. And the way that the voting occurs is it's not just a majority takes all. It is where we need to have some sense of consensus and agreement among the three different categories of commissioners. So we need at least some agreement among the county reps. We need at least one vote from the city reps, and we need at least one vote from the special district reps. So I think there's some conversation maybe to have around that, and I'm looking to our special district. I'm open, I think, broadly speaking, and I'm hoping that we can find some agreement. So if there's, I'm going to look to our special districts. If we couldn't find agreement last time on the candidates that were in the list, are there any folks on this list that would be palatable that we could potentially find agreement on? So I'll just ask that as a question and see where we go from there.
I don't know how we do that in that type of a discussion, actually. So I am open for a motion.
I'm going to go ahead and motion Matt Gurley with the comment that I think Megan Hunter spoke eloquently about the coming years. Really, and it's South County's moment, and I think familiarity with and I too want to. It was an impressive list of folks that came forward, but at the end of the day, the framing of water, agriculture, land management, et cetera, South County has its nuances, and I think complete familiarity with that is helpful at this moment. So I think Megan represented that point of view well, and the geographic balance I think is best served in South County. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and motion Matt Gurley.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that on the same, what Mayor Donahue said. I'm the other one from South County. So these are important issues that are coming up to LAFCO. I think we need to know people that understand what the future holds. And I will say it, the lettuce curtain's real. So what we do in the valley is a lot different than what happens on the peninsula. So having the knowledge of what we go through on a day-to-day basis is important. So for that reason, I second Mag Orley.
May I comment on the motion?
Yes.
So, and I really did appreciate Megan Hunter's comments, and I think they're very valuable. As a sitting member of the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, I've heard the comment that we just heard from Mayor Donahue many times, and I want to say that I am sitting next to an extremely qualified mayor from Soledad who was not selected as the mayoral rep, who does represent South County. So there are many reasons why Wendy and I are the two county supervisors that are sitting here, not least of which there were many years when there was zero representation from the peninsula. And there were many years that supervisors were not given the opportunity that were women to sit on this dais. And so while I understand what is being said, I respectfully disagree. Supervisor Lopez does sit on this commission as an alternate. Mayor Velasquez is an alternate. To her right is another alternate. You have the opportunity to participate in this conversation as an alternate and provide your perspective. We have other representatives from South County that sit on this dais, that are sitting on this dais now, in addition to Commissioner Lindley. So I just want to make sure that that is understood. I did hear 2 or maybe 3 candidates from North County I'd be interested in pursuing. I don't know how many North County reps we have at all on this dais, and I think there were either 2 or 3 that did come forward today, and I'd be interested in having a conversation about perhaps adding a North County representative. Thank you.
Commissioner Velasquez?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner, for stating what I was going to state, and I just want to reiterate that. And I know there was some comments made about 63% of Monterey County is Latino, and representation matters. And I think all of us that are up here, we know that representation matters, and it's equally important to ensure that the public voice is really a local voice that has no special interest and really comes with that representation of representing the residents, representing the public. As we know, a lot of us that sit here do represent cities, counties, and other special districts. But I do want to emphasize on that, and I know obviously our city manager spoke for the city of Soledad, but I want to reiterate, and I'll say it publicly now, is in regards to that seat as part of the mayors and the city, part of the Mayors Association, a meeting that is had every year. I had the opportunity. I've been sitting on the seat as an alternate since 2020. I came in, and we have a process as part of the Mayors Association, and the last time it was decided that process wasn't going to be followed. And even though I've been sitting on this seat as an alternate for the last 6 years, and Soledad hasn't been represented as a voting member on this board for the past 20 years, I think I take offense to South County representation. And I take offense to it because it was an opportunity to be able to have representation. And myself, being a Latina, representing South County was really important for that representation to happen. So I know we keep hearing over and over that there isn't Latino representation, there isn't representation for South County. But I want to make sure that the people understand that that's not true. There's no representation because some members of this board have made that decision. So I think it's before us tonight that we really make sure that the decisions that we make are really based on public representation and ensuring that there's equitable representation across Monterey County. Salinas takes a big seat of the county as well, making sure that those individuals, I see Matt Huerta out in the public, and making sure that those individuals that do represent the public, that have worked with those organizations, that are represented, that do have an opportunity to be up here and representing those voices that are truly public voices. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? For the record, Mr. Bickle is North County. Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'm going to do a roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Daniels?
No.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindley?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
No.
Commissioner Root Askew?
No.
Chair Leffel?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion fails. We do not have a quorum of the county representatives.
So I'll return to the initial question that I asked. I think I'm very interested in trying to find some level of consensus. I think we have some very qualified candidates who've added their names to the list today. I'm not coming in with a preconceived idea of who or how to proceed, but what I am interested in is hearing from our special districts representatives about which of the other candidates might be we be able to find some agreement on, and I'm very interested in having that conversation and finding that path forward. So we could go through name by name, but I would be just throwing names out at this point. So I'm asking, given the dynamic that this vote takes, it's, we would have to find at least Kate or I have to agree, and at least one of our special district reps have to agree. So we have a whole list of other folks, and I'm just going to ask, who would you be willing to, who of the other folks on the list is there an appetite to consider? And I'm happy to engage in conversation and see if we can find agreement.
All right. What I'd like to do is... Commissioner.
It was quickly said that the two county members have to agree, the two special districts have to agree. I think you need a vote from the two cities, at least one of the cities.
As well.
Yeah, and I want to be clear on the record.
Thank you. So in talking to our council, what I'd like to do is appoint an ad hoc committee of one each. And we will talk about possibly getting to consensus, what we're looking for, what we think is important. We can use these applicants as our base and go through it.
Through the chair?
Yes.
I think we could take a stab at some votes if that's the preferred alternative. We have several candidates. We're at this point, I believe, wasting the public's time when we have so many good candidates here on this list, and we're just looking for someone to make a motion. I can throw one out. I move we appoint, wow. One's way at the top. Ramon Cancino.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second to keep us going.
All right. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Daniels?
Aye.
Commissioner Donahue? Commissioner Lindley?
No.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Root Askew?
Aye.
Chair Leffel?
No.
Madam Chair, the vote fails. We do not have consensus of the special districts.
I move that we appoint Murtaza Mogri.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Daniels?
Aye.
Commissioner Donahue? Commissioner Lindley?
No.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Root Askew?
Aye.
Chair Leffel?
No. Again, I would like to appoint an ad hoc committee where we can go through the candidates and see if we could come to a consensus.
I move that we approve Belinda Talubin.
I'll second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Daniels?
Aye.
Commissioner Donahue? Commissioner Lindley?
No.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Root Askew?
Aye.
Chair Leffel.
No.
Motion fails.
Motion,
Fails.
I move that we approve Franco Pacheco.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Daniels?
Aye.
Commissioner Donahue? No. Commissioner Lindley?
No.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Rudasky?
Aye.
Chair Leffel.
No.
Sir, the motion fails.
I move that we approve Yesenia Medina.
Second.
Commissioner Daniels?
Aye.
Commissioner Donahue? No. Commissioner Lindley?
No.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Rudasky?
Aye.
Chair Leffel.
No.
Okay.
Motion fails.
So I'm not sure what ad hoc meeting would approve at this point. I can keep throwing names out, but I'd like us to have the opportunity to engage in the democratic process and not just be one member or bust.
Through the chair. This is a public meeting. An ad hoc committee would not be in the public eye. And I think it is important that this dialogue and this discussion occur in a public meeting with the public present. Moving it into an ad hoc committee space would be taking it out of a public process and out of the transparent discussion.
All right. Who would like to start discussing one of the candidates?
I'm just going to ask again, I think that it's clear that Supervisor Daniels and Mayor Oglesby have agreed to a variety of candidates. So really all we're looking for is where is their agreement on literally any of the candidates on the list?
I guess I will speak for myself. For myself, I would say that I believe of all of the candidates that we saw today, the person who is most qualified is Mr. Gorley. So he will continue to receive my vote. He has served well on this commission. He understands South County. We have a lot of South County issues with deficiencies where we're going to need community support. We have a lot of things coming forward with land changes and district changes in South County. It's very, very important. I think you pointed out last month that a quarter of the appointments were in that South County district. It is an extremely important part of our community. We have got to come to a consensus as a community that we are going to provide housing for our workforce and places for our children to have bedrooms and places to sleep at night and not be stacked up in people's houses knee-deep. Speaking about the density of some of the South County cities, it's appalling. So for me, I'm one person, for me, the most qualified person on this list, and there are other people who are qualified and who I would enjoy working with, but at this point, I believe that Mr. Gorley is the best candidate. Mayor Velazquez?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And I just want to make a comment, and I think I'm going to reiterate what I said the last time. And I think it's important, and I think we all sit here, and obviously we all want to do the best, and we make the best decisions that we can. And I think having someone that has, and as was said, thank you to Matt Gorley, because he has a lot of experience, and I think it's important to recognize that. But I also think when you talk about South County, and I'll take a little offense to that because I'm from South County. I lived in South County all my life. And I think being up here, I've tried to represent some of those voices in terms of the housing needs that we have. And I know the last time around when we were talking about affordability, whatnot, I was told, hey, that's not our lane. That's not what we do as a board. That has to be done at the city level. However, we do have to be looking at sprawl. We do have to be looking at making sure that we're taking care of our ag land, knowing that a lot of our South County community members work in agriculture as well, and obviously that is
our economic engine, one of the economic engines for Monterey County. But I think it's really important, I think, in this commission, and one of the things that has been really important to me in my capacity as an elected official is to ensure that the voices of the community are really represented. And I think even though we sit up here and Matt has done a great job, there's a lot of different interests that he represents as well. And I think finding someone from the South County communities, I'll advocate for that, but making sure that it's someone that truly represents the voice of the people, that doesn't bring a lot of the special interest, but understands what you said, Chair, understands the overcrowding issues that we're dealing with, understands the affordability issues that we're dealing with, understands that obviously we're capped in terms of where we live in geography because of these boundaries, but also able to ensure that we're able to come together and find mitigations for some of these issues that South County communities are experiencing. So I think for me, it's really critical that we don't lose that lens, that this public member is here because it should be representing the voice of the people and giving us a different perspective.
Commissioner Daniels?
And I'm sorry that I have to rehash this again, but I felt like we were really clear, at least I was. I feel like I heard it from Supervisor Askew, what is also very important to us, and that goes back to the latent power activation vote by this board, and that we were very much interested in a fair rehearing of that item, the activation of the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District's latent power to sell water. And we did not see that the first time around. It's why the decision was vacated in the courts. And that is why I am not able to support Mr. Gorley today. And I'm sorry that that is not held in as high esteem as some of the other reasons why folks are suggesting that we continue to have Mr. Gorley sit on this dais, but for me, that is a critical issue that I cannot separate from this decision. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. I believe we'll revisit this next month. Thank you all very much, and thank you all who applied. We have some really good candidates, and it's an interesting process. You're caught up in some things that are deeper, way deeper than your applications. So anyway, thank you all, and we will revisit this in September. Commissioner Askew?
Thank you. One final comment. I just think it's the irony of being the Local Agency Formation Commission, an agency tasked with providing for the effective governance and efficient governance of local jurisdictions and special districts, that we have 15, 13, 12, over 10 candidates on a list with agreement from half of the commission to say any one of these folks we can find a way to work with, and yet we're still delaying a meeting after we just spent an hour hearing from members of the public. It's the literal antithesis of effective good governance, and I couldn't let it pass without commenting on it.
Thank you. Right, we're going to go on to new business, and new business is the City of Gonzales Vista Lucia reorganization application, the completeness, the determination appeal. And Mr. Wysocki?
Thank you, Chair. So item 7 concerns the City of Gonzales Vista Lucia reorganization application, specifically the city's appeal of our determination that a portion of the application remains incomplete. Now, I want to emphasize at the onset that the matter before the Commission today is relatively narrow. The City of Gonzales appeal concerns the information regarding the qualified conservation entity that would hold the agriculture conservation easement under LAFCO's agriculture preservation policy. This is not a hearing on the merits of the Vista Lucia reorganization itself. Rather, today's question is whether the information submitted by the city is sufficient for this particular application completeness requirements. Jonathan will walk the commission through the application history, the basis for the completeness determination, the city's appeal, and the options available to the commission. Jonathan?
Chair Leffel and Commissioners, I'm sharing the presentation. I'll just be brief in my statements, and then we'll go through the recommended actions on this item. So this is item 7, as was teed up by our Executive Officer, Ken Wysocki, and I'm just providing you a quick overview of this item. So in terms of next steps, so right now we're in the process of Executive Officer has determined the application is to be incomplete because it doesn't conform to our ag preservation policy, specifically the proposed qualified entity to hold the conservation easement, and that's policy section 4.5.2, section part 3, part D. And then the City of Gonzales has exercised its right to appeal LAFCO's determination. Because it relates to this agricultural conservation policy, that's a provision in our policy that they can appeal this to the Commission for a decision. So essentially what the city is asking is that the Commission overturn the Executive Officer's determination, which would effectively deem the application complete. So what is available to the Commission, they may deny the appeal, grant the appeal, or provide other direction to staff. And just a quick timeline overview. In February 24th, 2026, the city submitted its Vista Lucia reorganization application. It is a reorganization, meaning there's more than one change of organization. There's an annexation to the city for the 768 acres into the city. It's a 4-phased annexation process proposed. And then there's also 2 detachments, a detachment to the Gonzales Rural Fire Protection District and detachment to the Resource Conservation District of Monterey County. So those are the changes of organization. Together, they're called reorganization. And then in March 26, 2026, LAFCO issued a first 30-day completeness letter. Staff identified 4 incomplete items. Those included the property tax transfer agreement, the annexation map and geographic description, the need for a compliant public transit service, a plan for services for public transit, and then nonconformance with LAFCO's agricultural preservation policy. Since that time, the city submitted a letter in July 2nd, 2026. In their letter, they concurrently requested an appeal to LAFCO if there was any item found incomplete based on the agricultural policy. On July 31st, 2026, LAFCO issued a second 30-day completeness letter. We identified 2 incomplete items, so the city made progress on those 4 items. We called out the property tax transfer agreement and the agricultural policy, preservation policy, specifically just on the identification of the qualified conservation entity as being incomplete. And then since that time, August 11th and August 17th, both the county and the city held meetings, the Board of Supervisors, the City Council held meetings where they approved the property tax transfer agreement. So essentially, one of those 2 items has been addressed. There's only this agricultural preservation policy conformance issue that remains. And this is the text in our policy that calls out in our implementation of ag mitigation. We have a definition for a qualified conservation entity. Staff is saying this item is incomplete because we don't have sufficient information to determine that this entity meets these qualifications. Essentially, we're looking for a nonprofit, a 501c3 corporation that is eligible to hold a conservation easement or a deed restriction collecting a new fee under California law and is conserving and protecting agricultural land as one of its primary purposes. So the information provided in the city's revised application is an affidavit from the developer's attorney where they are basically stating that this entity meets these qualifications. However, they don't identify the entity, and LAFCO staff cannot verify this information that it meets the policy. So that is the reason for the incomplete item. We received 1 public comment, a letter from Landwatch Monterey County on August 13th. That is attachment 4 in the packet. Landwatch's letter objects to LAFCO deeming the application complete. There were no additional public comments received. And then staff is recommending, as included in the agenda, this item includes a recommendation for the commission to provide for comments by the applicant, the City of Gonzales representatives for this appeal. Staff recommends that the commission allow the appellant, the city, to have their comments exceed the time limit for public comment. So just a quick review of potential actions the commission could take. They could deny the appeal. That would mean that the application remains incomplete until the information is provided. They could grant the appeal. That would effectively deem the application complete, and then this would move forward to a public hearing by the commission. And they could provide other direction. An example might be requesting additional information and or continuing the item. And that's the end of staff's presentation. Staff's available for any questions.
All right, I'm going to open this up to public comment. Oh, excuse me. Before you come up, Mr. Public, City Gonzales, would you like to address this issue? Sorry.
Thank you, Chair, members of the Commission. Brent Slama, Contract Planner for the City of Gonzales. We have a few that will speak on this issue, but we'll try to be brief in respect of your time. As was stated by staff, this is the final item prior to having a completeness determination for our project, the Vista Lucia project, and the full hearing. The single issue under consideration today, as the Executive Director mentioned, is simply the identification of the entity to hold the easement. As far as the City of Gonzales is concerned, this is a matter of timing, not so much a matter of substance. First of all, the City does not object whatsoever to the LAFCO policy that we all spent significant time working on together over the last few years. I've been up here many times, along with others from the City. But as the first project to be under this new policy, there's certainly unforeseen issues that come up in the implementation process, and this is one of them that we want to talk about. As we've been working at this for a significant period of time, and we've talked with trusts, and the applicants talked with trusts, we've clearly found that we're in a situation where ag land trusts in general do not want to be involved prior to the approval of the project, due to past issues of being brought into litigation by outside parties against the project developer. They're not necessarily in support of projects. They're here to go obtain agricultural easements. That's their stated mission. This is why they have their own internal policies to enter into these agreements with developers after projects are approved and the mitigations are required. There's no question or doubt that the City of Gonzales is fully committed to honoring the terms of the City-County MOA and LAFCO's stated mission to ensure the protection of agricultural land. That is not in doubt here. After many years, this project is one item away from being able to be considered in full by the LAFCO board. It's our goal to work with the LAFCO staff and any conflicting interests that may exist with any potential ag trust developer that we would work with. The city is proposing that we move this identification of the trust to a future condition of approval of annexation, which will ensure that LAFCO can vet any proposed trust prior to annexation. This is entirely consistent with all previous LAFCO actions that have required ag mitigation in the past. The project gets approved, you move forward, and ag mitigation is required. Before it gets recorded, you vet who it's going to be carried with, and the annexation cannot proceed until that is completed. That's the way it's been done in the past. This is how we're proposing that we continue to do it in this way after the development has been approved, and put it as a condition of approval to ensure that LAFCO staff has the opportunity to vet the trust and make sure it meets all the requirements. If it doesn't, then the annexation can't proceed. In closing, again, we feel this is a matter of timing, not a matter of substance. All will be revealed upon certainty of approval, and all qualifications will need to be met so we can ensure that this ag land is protected. We asked, once again, that this not remain a director's completeness matter, but rely on the Commission's firm condition that mitigation easements be held by an appropriate and qualified authority prior to execution of the easement.
We're now going to bring up the applicant's representative to talk about the efforts that they have gone into secure easements in general and comply with your policies, so help give a background on that.
Hi, Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing this. My name is Catherine Hart-Mason. I am counsel to the developer. I'm going to kind of echo a lot of what Brent just said, but I really want to go into kind of what we've done and with regard to this land trust specifically. We did do extensive research, negotiations on multiple properties for easements. After finally landing on one with Mission Valley Ranch in June 2025, we then contacted multiple land trusts. This land trust that we're working with is the one that we feel is not only qualified, but actually exceeds the qualifications of the policy. You have my declaration, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but just real quickly again, this land trust is a 501c3. I was concerned. I went online. I did look. There is a Form 990 filed for this land trust with the IRS. They are considered a tax-exempt organization. They've agreed to proceed, conditioned on, obviously, an easement agreement that meets with their policies. They need to know that this is going to work for them. The land does. It's now just the easement agreement, which we are negotiating. We expect to have that done very shortly. They are accredited by the Land Trust Alliance. That Land Trust Alliance holds land trusts to very high standards, and they have been accredited with them since 2016. They hold over 2,300 acres of agricultural and conservation easements. Those conservation easements are in multiple counties, and they are looking at this one now. And most importantly, I think this is what Brent was pointing at. They don't like to be identified in any type of action until it's actually approved, because they are not here to support the project. They are here to support the conservation easement and the conservation of agricultural land. So we actually think that with the information you have enough to actually move this out of the application phase and over to full hearing on the project itself. We do have an NDA with them. It was requested of us by them so that their name would not be inadvertently disclosed. I am not at liberty to say who they are. What I can say is that their attorney, Karen Schrodson, is on Zoom, and she is more than happy to answer any questions about this land trust that you may have, whether or not they meet your qualifications. And just summing up exactly what Brent said, we just ask that this be moved forward and that this particular issue, the identification of the land trust, be left to a condition of approval. It's how it's been done in the past. Executive Director will at that point have all the information he needs to make that determination as to whether or not they actually meet your policies.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Carmen, can you keep it to 3 minutes?
Yes, I will actually have it really short, and most of it is what you've already heard. So good afternoon, everyone. Carmen Gill, City Manager for the City of Gonzales. As you well know, we've been working on the Vista Lucia project for over 20 years, and what is before you today is just the issue of the identity of the land trust. They are interested in holding the easement. They have been working with the developer, and we strongly believe that the identity is not an issue at this juncture and should not hold up the rest of the application. We ask you to keep the application moving forward and bring us back to hearing to hear the entire project and make a decision on it then. I've spoken to the land trust. Some of your staff has spoken to the land trust, and we ask you to not hold up the project another 20 years and help us bring housing to the community that has been waiting for way too long to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to open it up to general public. You have 2 minutes.
Hello? Okay, perfect.
Excuse me, our attorney just reminded me this needs to be about the appeal and not the project in total.
Okay. Okay, so hello, my name is Junior Ruiz. I'm 17. I'm a senior at Gonzales High, and it's my first year in the GYC, which is the Gonzales Youth Council. And I'm here today to talk about the housing project of my city, the Vista Lucia housing project. And I'm here to say that this project can help and will benefit me and the community as well, including providing me and the youth in the community with their future home and a place for their future families to be raised, including my own. This project won't only give me that opportunity, but it also give families in other surrounding cities such as Salinas, Soledad, Greenfield, and even more, that same chance that I have. I hope you all can acknowledge the benefits that come with this project, and I hope that you guys can use that to determine your guys' outcome with the housing project. Thank you.
So again, today we are here to say we are talking about the appeal that is before us and not the project as a whole.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Michael DeLappa, Executive Director of Landwatch Monterey County. I draw your attention to our attorney, John Farrow's 2 letters in your packet. Landwatch has been a strong and consistent advocate for workforce housing. We've supported many such projects and worked closely with developers to make that kind of housing faster, cheaper, and easier to build. Vista Lucia is not that kind of housing. 2/3 of the 3,500 units are single-family, low-density homes with 2023 projected average sales of $585,000 to $650,000. Affordable only to households earning over $185,000 a year. Do the math. That's more than $2 billion in home sales revenues. Gonzalez's median income is $76,000. More than half of Gonzalez's low households are low or moderate income. 0% of this project is deed-restricted affordable housing, and neither the development agreement nor the specific plan requires any to be built. This is San Jose sprawl housing for Silicon Valley commuters, not housing for the people who work here, not the affordable multifamily housing this county needs. Second, the agricultural mitigation is inadequate. LAFCO staff flagged that the applicant hasn't shown the easement will be dedicated to a qualified conservation entity. All we have is the declaration. That's a real defect that needs to be fixed. But it isn't the only defect. Even if a qualified land trust shows up tomorrow, Mission Ranch is 9.4 miles from Gonzales, violating LAFCO's proximity policy, Gonzalez's general plan, and the city's 2014 Memorandum of Agreement, all of which require easements ringing the city to actually contain growth, not preserve farmland somewhere far away. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Morgan, the CEO of CHISPA. We're working with the Pembroke to create 200 units of deed-restricted housing, affordable housing. I was at the hearing. There were a lot of residents, and they were ready, willing, and able. And I encourage you, because you haven't given up any of your authority by just allowing a condition that was historically a separate process. You can see where the holdup is. Let's not make a catch-22 where we trap ourselves into delays because the citizens of Gonzales have waited long enough. The last housing that was built there was by CHISPA 20 years ago at Canyon Creek. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Roman Barba from Gonzales, California. I'm not throwing race in this, okay? Back in 2001, we were promised a subdivision for a new school and housing. That's never happened. We got a school bond, number G, that we pay for on our taxes. We already done paying it. The school never got built. The project never got built. Then, back in 2020, we passed another school bond. We're going on 7 years. We're paying on another school bond. Is this school going to get built? Is this project going to get built ever? This is crazy. We have rental properties in Gonzales. I just had 2 relatives, my sister's kids, and my brother's kids buy houses in King City. And guess what? They didn't want to live in King City. They didn't want to live in Soledad. They didn't want to live in Greenfield, but they had to buy in King City. That's crazy. Please, guys, it's been too long. We are people in the house right across the street. I live on 2nd Street. There's a family of 5 living in one room. That's what they're doing. They're renting rooms. One family's living in one room. Another family's living in the other room. Another family's living in the other room. If you don't believe me, come to my house and I'll show you. I live at 123 2nd Street in Gonzales. Please help us. Our families need homes. Thank you. And then plus, Gonzales has 23,000 or 26,000 people. Back then, we had 8,000 people. And back then, they had taught this, and now they're up to 26,000. We're still at the same population in Gonzales. Come on, man.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Matt Huerta, Senior Advisor with the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership. MBEP has worked with the City of Gonzales on Vista Lucia for some time, with particular attention to making sure the affordable housing components of the project are feasible and positioned to move forward alongside the market rate development. We understand that today's action concerns the completeness of the city's application and specifically the remaining issue involving the agricultural conservation easement. Given the progress the city has made addressing LAFCO's completeness issues, we encourage the Commission to allow the application to move forward so that the substantive annexation proposal can receive full consideration. Thank you for your time and leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners and staff. My name is Randy Pura, and I'm owner-manager of the Mission Ranch property, and I can attest to the following facts. I have met personally with the executive director and some of the board members and some of the members of the acquisition committee of the qualified land trust who will accept the agricultural mitigation conservation easement on Mission Ranch. Specifically on March 10th, 2026, I personally toured the Mission Ranch property with the executive director of the land trust in question. On August 5th, 2026, I toured the property with the Salinas-based appraiser hired and paid for by the land trust to perform the required appraisal of the conservation easement. And also on August 5th, 2026, I personally toured the property with the land trust Santa Cruz-based consultant who is preparing the required baseline study for the easement. During this process, Mission Ranch's local legal counsel, Mike Kling, and I have vetted this land trust and have unequivocally concluded that this land trust is fully qualified to accept and oversee the ag mitigation conservation easement on Mission Ranch and has many years of experience obtaining and overseeing other ag mitigation conservation easements in Northern California. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Liz Angel, and I'm a junior at Gonzales High School with the Gonzales Youth Council. And I'm going to reiterate what I said last time. Growing up, my family has experienced housing insecurities for the entirety of my life here in Gonzales. And the reason for that is that my parents really never had the opportunity to buy a house there. And housing has become very expensive, with the price of a one-bedroom, one-bathroom house can be at least $500,000. And for many of the working force, that's not affordable. Because of my own experiences, I've known that housing is more than just having a roof over your head. Having a stable home can give security and a sense of belonging in the community. And that's why I believe the Vista Lucia project can be incredible for Gonzales. Creating affordable housing could give families a better chance to stay in the community they've grown up in, instead of being forced to move somewhere else because they can't afford to live there. I find it the saddest thing that for Gonzales youth, their biggest goal isn't to stay in Gonzales, it's to leave because of how expensive it is to live there.
I hope the Vista Lucia can help Gonzales grow and make it affordable for everybody in the future. And I ask you to support and move forward with the appeal and deem the application complete. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Hello all, my name is Orlando Perez. This is my second time speaking in regard to the Vista Lucia housing project. I'm an incoming junior at Gonzales High School, located in the almighty South County. I am here today to continue supporting the advancement of this project, deeming it complete and coming to hearing. There are so many people that wish to attain their home, live comfortably, and find better opportunities to sustain themselves in the future ahead, which are only 3 of the main reasons why I speak to you all today. As mentioned in the Board of Supervisors meeting, I currently lead the Gonzales Youth Council, representing the voices of the youth and creating change surrounding this prosperous community. One thing that this community, from the inside of children, teenagers, and adults, that has always been talked about was more housing. A crucial aspect about Gonzales and what it's known for is the people who know one another, the people who share values, traditions, and cultures, and the very people who live in the community you oversee. Finally, the people who have suffered tremendously because of the lack of housing availability. None of us here are just here to chatter and that's it. No, we are here as community members asking you for the approval of prosperity, greater community, and social sustainability. For these reasons, I ask that you support the appeal and deem the application complete to come to full hearing. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Juan Gomez. I'm the Director of Programs for CCA. And earlier today we heard some of the Commission mentioned listening to the community. And as we all know, there's a big need for housing. So I'm here to support the appeals process and to urge you guys to deem the application complete so that we can move this project forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes, no sé cómo lo van a hacer para interpretar, pero yo lo voy a hacer en español.
I'm here.
I'm interpreter online.
Muy bien. Buenas tardes a todos, mi nombre es Jesús Estrada, soy un organizador con CCA y mi idioma principal es en mixteco y el segundo es en español. Yo estoy aquí para hablar acerca del proyecto que la vivienda es muy importante para la clase trabajadora del campo. Yo he trabajado con mucha gente que trabaja en el campo cada día. Entonces sé que la necesidad de vivienda es muy importante. La razón también es por qué la renta es tan carísima, porque no hay viviendas asequibles. Y también obliga a vivir 2 o 3 familias en una habitación por lo mismo, no hay vivienda. Entonces la vivienda es muy importante y es muy necesario a nuestro condado, refiriendo a la ciudad de Gonzales. Entonces a eso estoy yo para hablar mi experiencia y mi conexión con la comunidad que rentan diario. Eso es todo. Muchísimas gracias.
Good evening. My name is Jesus Estrada. I'm an organizer with CCA. And my first language is Mixteco. My second language is Spanish. I'm here to talk about the field workers that definitely don't have access to housing, the day-by-day struggles that they quite impaired, and how this project would benefit them by the fact of having available housing. The reason that housing is not available because it hasn't been constructed. And why rent is so high? Because there's not affordable homes for no one. Why people live in a single home, several families in each one of the bedrooms? That is why, because there's no availability of housing. I'm here to talk about the importance about building housing in our county, but specifically in the city of Gonzales. This is why I wanted to share my experience that I have lived through here in this county, the experience that as well others, field workers experience. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, do you have anyone else? Open it up to Zoom.
Chair, we have right now 4 hands raised on Zoom. We'll start off with Megan Hunter. I'll ask you to unmute and please give your comment.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just wanted to concur with Matt Huerta's comment. I think the commission should allow the application to move forward. We also experienced similarities when we had talked to different ag trust entities that are qualified but do not want to be named at this process. And I think this is something that staff at a later time can verify that they meet with all of the qualifications. So based on our own experience, I concur with the stance of City of Gonzales to allow the completeness of the application so the project can be fully vetted at this time. Thank you.
Next we have Christopher Lopez. I'll allow you to speak. Please unmute and give your comment.
Great. This is Chris Lopez. Sorry I'm not with you today. I'm playing dad as a key role today, picking up my kids from school, and you'd be surprised what a bag of gummy bears can do in terms of keeping them quiet for a few minutes. I've got about 1.5 left here. Just want to say that I believe that a vote today to move this forward is a vote in yourselves. It's an opportunity to say that as you craft the final decision based on this application is complete, you'll have the opportunity to vet this partner, to make decisions on that land, but all that can be done openly, transparently, and in public as part of this process. Don't feel tied down today, because by pushing this forward, you're going to be able to go through this. Having sat on this board, having been part of the Soledad application, I've got to say that I'm really feeling Rolando's comments about the mighty South County and believing in one another, and really in Mr. Barba's ending comments. Come on, man. This is it. This is our moment. If you believe that our community deserves better, this is your opportunity to be part of that solution. And it's not saying vote on it today as is, but have that opportunity to put your piece on it, put your name on it, make sure that you're giving your input. But without moving this forward today, you're not going to do that. Give yourself a shot, believe in yourself, move this thing forward, and be part of that process and do it transparently. Thank you.
Next we have John Huerta Jr. Allowing you to talk, please unmute yourself and give your comment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair LaFell and the LAFCO members for the opportunity. I support the appeal submitted by the City of Gonzales relating to all the items necessary to move this process forward, and thank you for the opportunity again.
Mr. Huerta, we lost your audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Chair LaFell and the LAFCO members for the opportunity. I support the appeal submitted by the City of Gonzales in regards to all the items, especially the ag preservation policy, going through that on my own here in Greenfield many years ago. And thank you for the opportunity again.
Okay, next up we have Karen Trodson. I'm going to allow you to talk. Please unmute and provide your comment.
Hello, my name is Karen Trodson. I'm a conservation attorney with 25 years of experience with conservation easements, including agricultural conservation easements and mitigation conservation easements. I represent a number of land trusts in California, none of which allow their names to be used in entitlement proceedings like we have in front of us today. I'd like to add that I've never been requested to appear in an entitlement proceeding like this before, and I've never had a client be required to have their name disclosed in a public proceeding such as this one. I understand that your policy is new and perhaps you weren't aware of these practical process issues. I urge you to change your policy to move this requirement to a condition of approval so the entity can be vetted as part of a post-approval process. Thank you very much.
Chair, there are no more hands raised on Zoom.
All right, I'm going to close public comment on this and bring it back to the commission, and I'm open for discussion. Commissioner Daniels.
Thank you. I just want some clarification. So could you reiterate for us, staff, the issue before us today is about the identification of a qualified land trust. So we will still have the opportunity to discuss agricultural preservation policy, the policy that LAFCO has, the proposed mitigation site, et cetera, in the actual hearing. But right now it is the identification of a qualified land trust entity by name that is at hand right now.
Yes, that is correct.
And so just for clarification then, what would a condition look like that would address that after the fact and just offhand?
Just offhand, it could be a condition that says to the satisfaction of the executive officer and then state the policy of what would be required per our policy about the qualified conservation entity.
Okay, and maybe just some basic standards that it must meet as a qualified conservation entity. And then could you just clarify that the questions of in close proximity or about the actual mitigation site itself or the good faith effort that the city made to find something that was adjacent to the city all could be discussed at a future date. Right now, the only thing that we need to deem this application complete is to waive that part of the policy or to address that today and grant the appeal.
That is correct. We are saying it is sufficient. We have sufficient information to bring the application forward with the exception of this piece of the identification of the qualified conservation entity.
Okay.
And that will all be discussed as part of the proposal.
So full application later, all of the things I just brought up could be and would be discussed.
Yes, that's correct.
Commissioner Velasquez.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a couple of questions. I know, obviously, I think there was mention that this is the first application that's subject to this, the mitigation policies, but I believe we were the first application in terms of the solid annexation. So can you remind us in terms of the ag mitigation, because I know what Gonzalez is mentioning was a lot that the city of Soledad also experienced during this specific portion of the process. So can you confirm what was approved in terms of Soledad? Because are we not following the process that we set before in terms of our policies? And then I have a couple of comments as well. Additional comments, sorry.
Sure. So a little bit of background in the Soledad Miramonte project was approved by the Commission in December of 2022. That approval included a condition for conformance with ag conservation easement or in lieu fee for that project, since what was identified in the application was not deemed sufficient. So that was a condition of approval subject to the executive officer's discretion on sufficiency of meeting those conditions of approval. Out of that came our ag conservation policy, which was adopted by the Commission in February 2024, essentially creating a defined process for city annexations, more guidance on LAFCO applications and CEQA documents when ag mitigation is required. So this is the first application of the policy for a project submitted to LAFCO, and partly due to the Soledad application just being unclear about the LAFCO process. There was a lot of public comments from local cities that resulted in our 2024 policy amendment.
Thank you for clarifying then the subject, that this is the first one, with the understanding that these are some of the same concerns and issues that the Soledad annexation experiences, similar mitigation issues. And not for now, but I think going back and reviewing that piece of the ag mitigation, because it's not, I mean, this is going to continue to exist, especially for our South County communities that are restricted in terms of how much we can grow and how much of the like-by-like comparables can we do with the mitigation effort. I think that's going to continue to be an issue. But with that, I just want to make sure that I also clarify that the application process, although it's been probably for 20 years in the making, I just want to clarify that because I think that happened to us as well. This board hasn't been not supporting that for 20 years. I think there's, it came to us and we have it now, but I just want to make sure that there's clear to the public that maybe it has been in 20 years, there's been other challenges, but it hasn't been here on the board, and the board hasn't been denying this application for 20 years. And also, just to clarify a comment in terms of the Soledad's population, it's not 26,000. We actually have 20,000, but it includes, the census includes the two state prisons that we have, and so that population is rolled into ours. But I just, my comments in terms of this is to be able to ensure, I know our South County communities continue to develop housing, and it's not just our responsibility. I'm going to say I think it's an entire community's responsibility to develop housing, but as we're moving forward with these applications, I think it's important to really acknowledge the fact that there is significant issues in terms of meeting the ag mitigation portion, and that we allow for the application to proceed with a good faith effort to make sure that that portion is that portion is adhered to before the application moves forward.
Commissioner Gorley and then Commissioner Bickle.
I finally get to talk. Thank you. I think our supervisor, Chris Lopez, South County Representation Supervisor, he said it well. I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we deem this complete, and probably the first time that I've went against staff's recommendation in quite a few years. So I'd like to deem this complete, and that's my motion.
I'll second it.
So I have a motion and a second. We'll continue comment. Commissioner Bickle?
Yeah, I was going to kind of echo that same thing. I don't think the time to sort out all the issues with the application is prior to accepting the application. I understand why staff, maybe put a pin in this for now, but I think it's well within this commission's power to, bypass that and say, yeah, maybe we have a problem with the policy that needs to be looked at. So yeah, that was going to be my comment. Things like the acceptability of that particular property or anything else, this isn't the time to sort it out.
All right. I haven't looked this way. Commissioner Askew?
Thank you. Just a couple questions, and then for the record. So our staff, LAFCO staff, is saying effectively that there's no concern with the location of the property for ag mitigation, and that's not a reason that the compliance with the LAFCO ag mitigation policy is not a reason to deem it incomplete, but so we actually are saying by approving this as complete that the location of the ag mitigation, our staff is saying is okay. Am I
No,
understanding
that's not
that?
what we're saying.
You're not saying that?
No, we're not saying that. That is up for the commission to decide. I don't unilaterally decide what you guys define as proximity.
Mm-hmm.
That's for the commission to make that vote. But what we completed is that they completed the application and submitted the information. All this is about is completeness of the application. So then my staff can start diving in and do the analysis, recommendations, and everything else are part of that. So that has nothing to do with proximity of the ag mitigation. That will be the commission to decide.
So just to clarify though, but the part of a complete application is an application that's compliant with the ag mitigation policy? Because the ag mitigation, just to clarify, the ag mitigation policy is what is requiring the documentation, about the appropriate qualified conservation entity. That's coming from the ag mitigation policy, correct?
Correct.
But what's not listed as not being aligned with the ag mitigation policy is the location of the conservation parcel. So there's no question about that being compliant with the ag mitigation policy. One is included and one isn't included. I'm just trying to get clarity.
You're asking me to unilaterally decide that proximity, I'm going to give it a number. And that's not my role. That's the commission's role to decide that. You guys made that in your ag mitigation policy, that proximity instead of nexus to the other property. So again, when we get this part and move it forward, we can then bring it to the commission to decide and debate, does proximity compliant? Do you, based on what the intent of that policy was?
Okay. And to that point, staff is saying basically, like, we've otherwise deemed this application compliant with the ag mitigation policy, with this one exception.
I wanted to jump in. I know our director's kind of jumped in, and so this goes back in some time. I'd say the difference is completeness versus compliance. So if I have a policy that says you have to build this close by, and then someone says, here's my proposal, and you say, well, that's not close by, and the person says, well, that's what I think close by is, and that's my application that I'm submitting, and you can tell me when you reject my application that it's not close by, but I'm not going to change my application because I believe this is good enough. And so in this instance, staff has had that interaction, right? There's been kind of a clear dialogue about proximity, what staff believes is a reasonable interpretation of the policy and what they're going to support. And as the letter came in July 2nd saying, if you don't agree with us, we want to appeal everything that you disagree with us on. And so in this instance, the only thing that we felt was truly incomplete was having the identity as called for in the policy. So whether or not it's compliant in the sense that it actually is close by or otherwise satisfies any other standards is for the discretion of the commission to make.
Okay, thank you. So by deeming this complete and trusting that the assurances that are being made would be appropriate, in no way is this body at the same time saying or approving staff language that insinuates or implies that the location is in fact approved by staff. You're saying very clearly the location is not, the staff is not making a decision about location, that will be made by this board.
Yeah.
But you are not taking any action today. Or you have not made that assertion.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. That's an important one to be clear on. And then the other thing I just want for the record to be noted by LAFCO is on item number 3, which was the property tax sharing agreement with the County of Monterey. We heard that, gosh, y'all were here. It was recently. It feels like it could have been yesterday, but maybe it was probably a couple weeks ago. I just want to be very clear that for the record, the Board of Supervisors, the county has a longstanding memorandum of understanding with the city around how growth should occur, and that in making the determination that we would approve the property tax sharing agreement, we were not able to include language that stated that the mitigation plan as presented to the county was actually in compliance with that memorandum of understanding. And I think it's a detail that we were able to find a path forward for the city and for the project, but I don't want it to go unnoticed or unrecognized or become a historic pattern that's referenced back. There was an exception made, and the resolution specifically excluded language stating that it was compliant. So just want to make sure everyone understands that tax sharing agreement and how it made it through the next step. Those are my comments and questions. Thank you.
All right, more comments? Commissioner Donahue?
Just a couple of things. One, I think kind of the tenure and spirit of Supervisor Lopez's comments are important, and I think all of us sitting up here know how difficult it is to get housing moving. So when you have a bird in the hand, important to keep moving, and that I think speaks to one of the things that Mayor Velasquez alluded to, that it isn't taking bodies 20 years, because I can think back to my first time as mayor, and we got the Future Growth Annex, and we're all dressed up and ready to go, and here comes whatever you call it, recession, depression, and then you approach COVID, you work your way out of that, and here comes COVID. So there can be external or existential events that slow down housing, and in fact we're hearing some pretty interesting footsteps along the same lines that slow things down. So so it is important to keep the process moving for the city that's worked for a couple decades on this, because to address the concerns that were just raised, there remain appropriate checks and balances to make sure that this moves forward. But I think the important thing right now is that it moves forward. So that's why I was happy to second the motion. Let's keep this moving.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, through the chair. I think the city's met their burden. They met the burden for this. We're not signing completely off on the mitigation, but how do you go forward if you don't accept the application? And so I appreciate staff by being clear that they're not the final reviewer of what is proximity. And of course, that all falls to this board about the application as a whole. This is just the appeal, and I think they met their burden. I thought it was a good conversation about some of these land trusts may be apprehensive about sharing who they are if they're going to get caught up in some type of litigation. Maybe that is something we need to look at if that is stopping the proper transfer of mitigation land and holding up the ability for cities to grow and provide the needed housing. But on the basic appeal, I think, we have to trust the cities. I don't think they're going to move forward and then all of a sudden they don't have an entity to take over the land. Now, if we're, it's for us to find out later, but I don't think they would be hoodwinking us. So I support the cities.
All right. We have a motion and a second, and I'm going to call for a roll call, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Daniels?
Aye.
Commissioner Donahue?
Yes.
Commissioner Lindley?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Aye.
Commissioner Rudascu?
Aye.
Vice Chair Gorley?
Yes.
Chair Level?
Yes, thank you very
Motion
much.
passes.
Okay. Our next item is the Executive Officer's communication.
Awesome. Thanks, Chair. First off, Commission, I've been meeting with a lot of the commissioners this past month since I started, just to get to know you better, and I really appreciate that. And just so that you know, this is going to be ongoing for myself. I will reach out and continue. I want to hear from you all. But also, I'm going to reach out to the alternates as well. So stay tuned. You'll get an email from me asking for your availability, so I can also talk to you and listen to you. Next week, or this Thursday, I'll be giving a presentation at the Civic Grand Jury. It's just about LAFCO 101. They asked every year we do this. We go out there and present what is LAFCO, et cetera. So I'll be giving that presentation this Thursday. Lastly, we began our audit journey. We had a kickoff meeting last week. I think it was August 19th. And as crazy as this sounds, I'm excited about this review. I think the team doing my review on our financials, the team's been doing a great job on managing our finances, budget, and all the transactions. So we anticipate to bring the results of the audit to our Finance Committee in November, and then to the Finance Committee, and then to the full Commission in December. So just giving you all heads up on that one. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the public, comments from the Commission? We're all tired. But thank you. I think you
I do have one.
You hit the ground running.
I do have one.
sorry.
I don't know what that procedure would be. Can we instruct staff to maybe take a look at what other LAFCO's policies or procedures are in regards to disclosing the land trusts? And then maybe put that on an agenda item if it's appropriate?
Yes. Yes.
Have that noted.
Thank you, Mike. Commissioner comments on anything? Anyone? I will say that on Saturday morning at 10 a.m., if any of you would like, if you will let me know, we are doing a Dusty Shoes tour of the new terminal for people to be able to walk through the construction site, see what's going on, because they're putting in all the mass timber right now. And once they do that, because of the expected rains this winter and the severity of them, they're going to pretty much wrap that thing up. And so people will not be able to see what's going on inside, but it will be at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, approximately an hour, hour and a half, and you will have to walk. So there's no transportation once you get there. So bring your walking shoes. And that's what I have. So I will consider us adjourned at 5:42.